All right, let's now cross live to New York, where we can speak to spokesperson for the Israeli Prime Minister's office, Tal Heinrich. Thank you very much, Tal, for your time here on Newsday on BBC News. Well, I'd just like to begin by asking you what we're seeing as far as the military operations are concerned. They are being concentrated in South Gaza. What are the IDF's objectives for this phase of the military operation?
We've been clear all way long in what pertains to the goals of what we're doing in Gaza, the war that Hamas has dragged us into. We said that we want to eliminate the Hamas terrorist regime, and we want to bring back all of our hostages home. This is a twofold mission, and we are very determined to complete both missions. And this is the reason why we're operating right now. As you know, we had an outline in place, a framework by which Hamas released hostages, but on day 8, they failed to deliver another group that they could list, that they could back up and release. And we said that the moment Hamas stops releasing more hostages, that's the moment that the fighting will resume. And not only that, they also broke the truce. They fired rockets at us. Up until now, we're talking about more than 12,000 rockets that have been fired towards Israeli territory over the span of the past 8 weeks.
Tal, the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said that in this kind of a fight, the center of gravity is the civilian population. And if you drive them into the arms of the enemy, you replace a tactical victory with a strategic defeat. That's the quote from Lloyd Austin. What is the IDF really doing to avoid those kind of casualties?
Everything humanly possible. We don't want to see any civilians getting caught in the crossfire between us and Hamas terrorists. For that end, I can guarantee that the IDF is doing our utmost effort to avoid civilian casualties, to safeguard the civilian population of Gaza. We have published a map. We divided the Gaza Strip into particular zones and areas and neighborhoods, and these are numbered, coded zones, and we tell the civilian population exactly when and where they need to evacuate to be safe. We want them to be safe. Hamas are the ones committing double war crime here, where they target our population from inside and underneath the civilian population of Gaza.
Tal, you say that, but from the ground, the pictures that come in seem to suggest otherwise, as we also saw in Jeremy Bowen's report. Also, the UN Human Rights Chief, Filippo Grandi, told the BBC that Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are being pushed more and more towards a narrow corner of what already is a very narrow territory. So where are they supposed to go?
Exactly where we tell them. But here's one thing that one should keep in mind. All of the people on the Israeli side and the Palestinian side who have been killed, injured over the past 8 weeks or so would have still been alive today if it wasn't for Hamas and their bloody actions. One thing that really jumped out to me, and you just noted the report that you just played before, and I think it's really it's not accurate. I heard the word vengeance there, and it's really important for me to convey this message, because Israel is not driven by any kind of vengeance, revenge, rage. All these words are simply not in place. What we're seeking here is accountability. And I'm sure that if you know the history of the Jewish people, you understand that the concept of vengeance, it's not in our DNA. And that is exactly the epitome between us and the enemies that we're fighting against. They are driven by rage and a fraudulent vengeance for wars that they started throughout history. And again, the Jewish people have gone through some of the worst national traumas ever existed on this planet. I'm talking about the Holocaust, yet we never sought vengeance.
Tal, if I may come in, If I may just come in, sorry to interrupt, but I just have to point out that Prime Minister Netanyahu has also said in the past and talked about vengeance in the circumstances. So how do you respond to that?
My prime minister, at the very outset of this war, quoted our national poet, Chaim Nachman Bialik, who wrote this line. Let me say it first in Hebrew. Nikmat dam yeled katan lo bara satan. A vengeance for a blood of a small child is something that Satan himself has not yet created. This is the guiding principle of the Israeli people and the Jewish people. And let me talk about vengeance for a second, because Hamas, our enemies, are driven by rage and vengeance. They have been raising generation after generation of Palestinians based on this concept, to glorify martyrs, to dream of aspiring, about a Palestine from the river to the sea, the obliteration of the state of Israel. This is rage. This is vengeance.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Tal Heinrich, thank you very much for your views here on Newsday.